Welcome back. Most people building a trust have never asked the most important question about who they're putting in the seat. The difference between a trust that runs clean and a trust that collapses under pressure is almost always coming back to one thing: who you choose and what they actually knew when you chose them. You've done enough research to know the trustee isn't just a name on a document. You want something specific. You want to know what prior experience actually looks like, what areas it covers, why each one matters, and how to evaluate it in a real person before you place them in the seat that the entire structure depends on. That's exactly what this video delivers. Investment awareness, legal familiarity, financial institution experience, beneficial disbursements. We're going through all of it, why it matters, and what a trust looks like when you get it right versus when you don't. By the time this is done, you're not going to be guessing. You're going to know the standard. Let's start with what prior experience actually is, because there's a version of this question that people answer too quickly. Prior experience for a trustee is not a credential. It is a demonstrated capacity to operate inside a trust structure, understand what the corpus is and what it isn't, and make decisions under the weight of that responsibility without confusing personal interests with trust obligations. The minimum standard is 3 years of service as a trustee. Experience inside a living trust counts. That background does something specific. It teaches the person the difference between a trust account and a personal account. That line seems obvious from the outside. Inside an active trust, it gets tested constantly. A trustee who has actually navigated that line, who has made decisions under it, and held the boundary brings a quality of judgment that no amount of preparation can fully replicate. Now let's talk about this age. This is not about limiting who can serve. It's about what time actually builds. The guidance on this is clear. A trustee should ideally be 35 years old or older, with the emphasis on older. As long as that individual stays sharp, alert, and engaged, because age in this context represents exposure. It represents the number of times someone has had to sit across from a banker, an attorney, or a creditor and hold the position under pressure. That settled authority, that composure, is developed through repetition. And when you're filling a trust seat, that composure has a direct impact on the trust credibility in every room it enters. But here's the quality most people undervalue, and it may be the one that matters most: investment awareness. A trustee who is familiar with investment opportunities or who has active connections in that space is one of the most valuable assets a trust group can hold. A private express trust is designed to hold, manage, and grow assets over time. It may carry certificates of deposit, money market accounts, and multiple checking accounts when cash flow is significant. The trustee sitting in that seat may be the one evaluating and approving the decisions that compound that wealth, or it don't. Without investment awareness, the trust cannot take full advantage of what it's built to do. Investment awareness in a trustee changes the ceiling of what the trust can accomplish. There are two areas where a trustee's prior experience will either protect the trust or expose it: legal familiarity and financial institution experience. Let's work through both. Legal familiarity. Any exposure a trustee has to legal cases involving trust is a genuine advantage. That includes working directly with lawyers. And this is where it gets specific. Working with lawyers inside a trust context is considered an art form. It is not simply about knowing what questions to ask. It is about knowing what to put in writing, what to keep private, how to carry the trust interest into a conversation without surrendering unnecessary information. Trustees who have had a difficult legal experience often become the most skilled operators because they were forced to develop that precision under real pressure. There was no simulation. They had to figure it out in the room. Even time spent inside a courtroom as an observer or seated beside counsel as a client changes the way someone positions themselves when legal matters arise. That exposure shifts the default, and the default matters. Financial institution experience. This is where the trust meets the real world often. Trustees interface with banks and financial institutions regularly for large transactions, for wire transfers, for account management. This means someone on your board of trustees needs to know how to open and close bank accounts, how to navigate the documentation process at major institutions, and how to manage what comes with it. Here's what is encouraging. Most large financial institutions already know what a trust is. The process exists, but it is detailed. It requires specific information, and the person sitting across from the bank officer either knows the landscape or they don't. Experience does not remove the complexity. It makes someone steady inside it. Beyond basic accounts, a trustee with this background may need to manage loans. Trustees can make secure loans when assets are significant. They may need to manage mortgage applications, which require strong credit positioning. Without it, obtaining a mortgage through the trust structure becomes significantly more difficult. And they may need to manage investment accounts, where in some cases, a financial institution will require proof that at least one trustee has prior investment experience before they will even open the account. That last point alone is reason enough to be deliberate. The institution is asking what you should have been asking first. Before we move into the final section, if this is giving you clarity on how a private express trust actually operates at the level that protects it, here's what I want you to do right now. Subscribe to Wealth Locked In so you don't miss any of the deeper trust education we're building here. Watch this video all the way through. The section we're heading into is where everything we've covered locks in. When you're ready to go on further, join the school community waitlist so you're first in when we open the doors. Download the free What is a Trust ebook linked in the description. That is your foundation for everything. And grab the Trust Book GPS pinned in the comments. It's the step-by-step roadmap for building this structure correctly. Now let's cover the area that most people walking into a trust structure have the least experience with. And it is the one that creates the most internal friction when it's handled carelessly. Beneficial disbursements. Most people have no frame of reference for formally distributing funds to beneficiaries. This is not a criticism, it's just not something most people have done. It is a skill developed through doing it. And in a private express trust, the trustees are the ones who signs those checks. Here's how this actually works. When a disbursement is made to a beneficiary, unless it is a fixed routine amount already established, trust minutes must be created. Those minutes document the reason for the disbursement and the exact amount being dispersed. This is not a formality. This is the paper trail that protects the trust, protects the trustees, and protects the beneficiaries. It is how the Board of Trustees creates a durable record of every decision it makes. When other trusts are involved, when funds are moving from one trust structure to another, the formulas become more complex. Some recipients may decline funds. Some may redirect them to other beneficiaries. Every one of those scenarios requires a trustee who understands the process and can navigate it cleanly without creating ambiguity that exposes the trust later. And then there's the tax side. K-1s and Form 1041s. These are the reporting instruments that come with trust distributions and income. Most trustees learn these through experience. Unless someone comes from a strong accounting background, this is typically an area where a professional is brought in. An experienced trustee already knows that. They already have those professional relationships. They already understand what they're signing when the filing season arrives. This is the complete picture of what a trustee with prior experience actually brings. Not just presence in a seat, active, informed management across every area where the trust intersects with the real world. And this is why the trustee selection is one of the highest leverage decisions you will be making when building your trust structure. The right person accelerates everything. The wrong person stalls it, exposes it, or compromises the operation at the exact moment it needs to hold. Now you have the standard: investment awareness, age and maturity, trust experience, legal familiarity, financial institution fluency, beneficial disbursement management. That is what you're evaluating. That is what you're selecting for. Here's what I want you to carry out of this video. The trustee is not a title. It is a function. And that function demands experience, judgment, investment awareness, legal composure, and the ability to manage the relationship between the trust and every institution that operates through. If you're building your trust or evaluating who belongs on your board of trustees, everything you just learned is your standard. Use it. Now here's what I want you to do next. Subscribe to Wealth Locked In right now. We're building the most thorough trust education channel on YouTube, and every video goes deeper. Watch this entire video if you haven't finished it yet. This is the kind of content that compounds on rewatch. Download the free What is a Trust ebook linked in the description. It is the best single starting point for understanding the legal foundation of a private trust. And get the Trust Book GPS pin in the comments. That is your roadmap for building this structure correctly, step by step. You now know what you're looking for. Now build it accordingly. You walked into this video with a question and not enough to answer it. You're leaving with a specific standard operation and you're ready to use it. You know what investment awareness looks like in the trustee. You know why legal familiarity is a competitive advantage. You know what financial institutional experience protects you from, and you know what beneficial disbursements demand from the person who signs those checks. That seat is no longer a guess. You've resolved it. And now that trustee seat is clear. The next question is already in front of you. How does the full board of trustees actually function? I really do feel like this is going to be the last series that I do on administration, because we've covered the administration positions thoroughly, all of them up until this point. You can look at the playlist. I've put everything in a neat playlist so that you can just access it and get the information that you need as you continue to build. I don't know what I want to do next. I'm not sure what the next kind of content is. I would really love you guys' feedback. I appreciate everybody who's been watching these videos that I've been putting out. I work hard on them. I really do. I've said this before. I don't feel it beneficial to just talk like I'm talking now, which is why I write all of these things down. I distill all the information that I want to convey, and then I make sure that I stay on topic when I get on camera. I don't know how I feel about moving forward without doing it that way. If you like the how-to on the Trust Book GPS and how I just sat there and talked to you, let me know in the comments. I want to do videos where I react to real-world situations to highlight instances where regular people could have avoided loss to their finances or probate, so that we can get an idea of how to use a trust in a real world situation, or how to prevent financial pitfalls. You guys got to let me know. So just comment below, let me know. Thank you all for watching these videos up until this point. I don't know what the next video will be, but I have between now and then to figure it out. But for now, hit the hype button if I even have one. Subscribe, I know you can do that, it's free. Share with your family members and people who may be able to use this information. And always consider yourself and where you fit in a trust structure. Now that the birds are here, I'm gonna end this video and get back in the lab. Until the next time, peace.